And so to me, I looked at, the affordability issue in this province, and I went, that's one area where, in my opinion, that should have been honored, and it should have been done quickly. And of course, AHS was a big one, and she hasn't really followed through with much on that. And I can go on and on and on. I think the point is that a promise made must be a promise kept. And if you're going to do these big promises, they needed to be done and implemented sooner rather than later, because otherwise it just gets too far into the years closer and closing the gap on the election, the next election, and that's where their focus is. Well, I need to get reelected, because that's all politicians think about, is I just need to get reelected, right? And that's the sad reality. So that is our policies. And then I'm just gonna now put this out here and see if anybody has any real questions for me, and to see if there are any comments that anybody has. I know for some people watching, they may have some questions about some of the rumors that have been going around. Some of them have actually been quite juicy. Not true, but juicy nonetheless. And they don't really bother me much. Just to give you a little bit of my background, I obviously came into politics with Maxime Bernier and the People's Party of Canada. And I fell in love with the policies, with the principled approach. And Max has been very consistent with the policies. None of them have changed since day one. We talked about immigration. You want to talk about leadership. How about talking about immigration back in 2018, when it was not popular to get in front of that parade? There was no parade. There was a handful of individuals going, hey, we may want to slow this down. Look at what's happening in Europe. There's real problems. Our economy can't keep up. But nobody wanted to listen. It was just easier to slander and try and character assassinate and call us racist, rather than look at the real issues that we were bringing up and addressing. So that's leadership, is, foreseeing a problem and trying to get ahead of the problem, trying to remedy it, create solutions before it becomes a full-on crisis. And nobody else had the courage to do that, including the Conservative Party of Canada. The Liberals were just exacerbating the problem, and the Conservatives were happy enough to go along because it wasn't very politically in the polls popular to provide dissension. So, that's my background. And people have asked me as well, okay, well, where were you when Jason Kenney was in power? Well, I have a lot of videos on this YouTube channel that will tell you where I was when Jason Kenney was in power. And I was pretty outspoken and pretty vocal around the intrusion and trampling of our rights. And I campaigned to put Danielle Smith as well into the position that she's in, and gave her my endorsement and support. I was very hopeful we were going to see big changes. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing the changes happen. And I think it's important that we remind our politicians that they were put there by a group of individuals who support them based upon the promises that they make. And that was what Jason Kenney said. Well, at one point, he was just going to replace his base. He didn't want them because he didn't like what they were saying. And well, we saw the outcome of that for Jason Kenney. I'm hopefully giving Danielle some heads up as to the fact that people are unhappy. Conservatives are unhappy with the way things are going, whether it's people who say, okay, it's not happening fast enough, or for whatever reason. But the reality is people are unhappy. And, I want to bring those issues forward. These are the issues. Please fix them. How about we fix them? How about, you actually put a plan and a timeline in place so that people can actually understand and see what it is that you are going to do, when it is that you're going to do it, so we can hold you to account to that. And again, if you're not willing to account to it, 24 months, you make a promise. If you break that promise, you have to come in front of us and we'll do a leadership review, and we can tell you whether or not we think that you are fit to remain the leader, or